And welcome back to the Murdy Creative Co podcast. I'm your host, Colin Murdy, and today's topic is delays on delays. But first, I want to say thank you to everyone who's supported the company so far. If you haven't got a chance, go check us out on the web at murdycreative.co. That's M-U-R-D-Y creative.co. Or you can check us out on Facebook and Instagram by searching at murdycreative.co to see the best of our product shots. We'll always keep up to date with our daily photos and be the first one to know about new product launches. You can also use the subscribe button at the bottom of our website to be included in all of our new announcements. Be sure to check out our laser engraving, personalization options, and exclusive colors on the website, or you can get a blank one on Amazon Prime. All right. When people talk about delays, and people are talking about shortages, and people are talking about not being able to get things, what people, I think, don't fully realize is the fungible nature of the economy. And what I mean by that is everything is related to everything else. So, to give you an example, this is something that they had us do in our business school as an exercise very commonly. And it's when you do this kind of analysis, you begin to realize the challenges of central planning and why central planning of an economy can never work. Let's say you want to figure out what the cost of shutting down an oil pipeline will do to the price of oranges in Montana. Shutting down an oil pipeline will affect a certain portion of the country by making oil more scarce because it's not as easy to transport. It will require more trucks to move that same oil because demand won't necessarily change. So you'll end up seeing a slight price change and hike in the price. That will affect some of the demand because there is some price elasticity, but not much. It's pretty inelastic. So, and what'll end up happening is more trucks will have to be used to move that same amount of oil. There will be fewer trucks and a higher price of gas, which means that moving oranges from Florida to Montana will be more expensive. The higher prices in oranges will affect a variety of people who are purchasing the oranges, not just the people that are buying them in the grocery store, but also the factories that make orange juice, the things that process orange juice peels and other trash. The point that I'm making here, as you can see, is a single change to the economy ripples outward to infinite amounts of time, right? This is where there's a lot of different ways to look at economic theory, but the concept that Adam Smith used in The Wealth of Nations was the invisible hand. Now, the short version of the invisible hand is that the market, as we think of it, the modern day market, isn't something that can be controlled by any one individual or even by a government. It's something where millions and millions and millions of individuals making millions and millions of decisions constantly affect change. And it works kind of think of a brain where individual neurons firing in certain sequences creates certain effects in the mind. So when we talk about the economy, we talk about the shortages that you hear about, and we say, oh, well, a domestic manufacturer like the Murdy Creative Company, which makes things domestically, they wouldn't be affected necessarily by shortages that are coming from the ports. Why? Because they're not buying anything from overseas. But that's not true. While we don't buy anything necessarily from overseas, our upstream suppliers do. For example, we have been waiting for this batch of leather for weeks at this point. We ordered our Christmas inventory. We ordered that leather in September. At the time, that had a 2-month lead time. Normally, for example, in the beginning of the pandemic and before the pandemic, we would experience a 3 to 4 week lead time on any of our purchases of leather by the mill. So we would order a couple thousand square feet, and then a month later it would show up. That was pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Then, as the pandemic got worse and worse and worse, and then as time went on, last year by June and July, suddenly our tannery that we use, the local tannery, the domestic tannery, was out 8 weeks in their production lead time. Now, that had a couple of things that affected that, right? You had domestic manufacturers who normally would buy leather from overseas not being able to get that supply. So they turned to domestic manufacturers to buy it. You also have tanning, the tanning process, which is a complicated and very chemical consuming product that requires the chemicals, which are often made in a variety of places, one of which being overseas. And so the chemicals, the tannery can't get chemicals. Well, even raw hides, there's a change in the purchasing of meat behavior. Slaughterhouses can't find labor, so slaughterhouses are producing less and less hides. And now you've got a situation where they can't get the raw materials for the hides. They can't get the raw materials in the form of chemicals that are waiting off the port. And so we've created this ripple effect of the economy where even though our materials come from domestic sources, those domestic sources are dealing with their own problems upstream in the supply chain. This is a huge issue. This is a huge issue that I have a couple of ideas how it might get fixed, and one of them is happening right now, but in the process, our company is getting, well, no, it's not good for us. Let's just put it that way. So I mentioned this previously, kind of how this relates. What ends up happening when you see, this is the issue with just-in-time inventory in the global supply chain. Most companies have it set up in such a way where as their sales come in, the computers, the artificial intelligence that's applied to the processing of ordering, is able to determine how many of what is needed and when. They'll create predictions, and then they'll place, normally automatically, purchase orders with the manufacturers that make those materials. At that point, the manufacturers then produce them and ship them. But when the delay happens, suddenly the lead times, the time it takes from getting the order in to the time that it takes to get that order delivered from a manufacturer, skyrockets. Well, what does the system do? It automatically adjusts and says, well, we've been able to order our leather 1 month at a time because we get it in a month. Well, now all of a sudden, if we're seeing lead times jump to 2 months, now we have to order 2 months at a time because of the delay. And then you get what happened to us during Christmas, which is that we ordered in September. They said they would be able to get us the shipments by basically the week of Black Friday, the last week of November. And that was going to be tight, but that was going to be fine. We are still, to this day, waiting on leather from that same PO. And it's impossible for a little business like us to run this way. And I'm very frustrated, to say the least, because over half of our sales come from espresso. And so when the tannery can't get us espresso leather that we ordered last September, we're in trouble. Now, the answer, unfortunately, is going to have to be that we're going to have to work on multiple sourcing our leather, which I don't think is going to be too much of a problem. There's several tanneries in Milwaukee, to say the least. So we'll be able to go to those other tanneries who we evaluated in the past and didn't like their pricing, but at some level, we may have to choke down the higher prices if it means they can get us materials, right? Because it doesn't matter if you have the lowest price if you can't buy it. So we're going to have to go back to these other tanneries and see if we can't come up with, if they can't produce the same leather at the same quality that we expect from the current tannery that we're using. And this is where I am struggling, because we've got customers who have been waiting at this point a very, very long time for their orders. And I hate that. I want to be able to get people their orders. I don't like having these orders that are these long delays, especially when our production lead times. For reference, on Friday, we were making orders that had been placed on that Friday, that same day. We were making orders that same day. Because if we have the leather, we're basically caught up. But without the espresso, every order that comes in puts us further and further behind. And we are waiting. We were supposed to have a shipment of espresso that was supposed to show up on the 17th. It's the 24th today as I'm recording this. They were supposed to get it delivered today. I called them this morning. They say it's not ready yet. Maybe tomorrow. And it's frustrating, because how are we supposed to run a business? How are we supposed to be able to cash flow the business, right? When we are relying on the sales made today to pay for the bills that are coming due today. Well, if you have that problem and suddenly you can't sell, espresso leather because you're out of it, suddenly that creates a real problem, because then you see your sales drop off significantly. And it's not like this is a crazy gangbusters time of year anyway. All this to say, I appreciate all of you who've been patient with us. Things don't always go my way. Things don't normally go my way. And I just have to be patient, and I have to work with our customers to explain the situation and try to accommodate things as best we can. I think, unfortunately, with the rising inflation rates, we will see some of this go down. We will see some of this relief. Now, the fact that we have the debt we have, which is the first time this company has had debt, but we got a line of credit last year because we were going to make the move and we were expand heavily, and we did, and we have. And now we need to get the supply chain sorted out so that we can get our supplies and our sales up to where they need to be to compensate, right? So the fact that inflation rates are going to go up, or not inflation, interest rates are going to go up, is going to be like a kick in the teeth to us. But despite that, it is the thing that will theoretically solve some of this, because the only way that you can slow down the purchasing problem is by making the cost of money expensive. Here's what I mean by that. If you've got a company like ours, as an example, where our lead times go from 1 month to 2 months. Well, now we need to order 2 months of leather at a time. Well, that means that our tannery is now dealing with twice the order volume from us. Well, if everyone does that, suddenly the tannery's got to go from saying, okay, well, now it's not going to take 8 weeks, it's going to take 16 weeks because we're dealing with twice the amount of demand. And so what do we have to do? We have to order 16 weeks at a time. We have to order 4 months at a time. And this cycle continues on and on and on, where the manufacturers are dealing with longer and longer lead times themselves because they are dealing with massive order volumes that are coming because the companies are seeing longer and longer lead times. The only way that stops is if the cost of borrowing money to pay for those things gets so high that the companies themselves go, you know what? We are just going to have to deal with being out of stock because we can't afford to borrow the money we need to buy as much inventory in advance as we can. And so that slows down the process because it means that you don't borrow money to buy inventory. You just go out of stock of certain things. Because of that, the tannery, the manufacturer, has a lot lower ordering. They are dealing with less customers ordering things, which allows their lead times to shrink back down. And as their lead times go back down, they're able to then we are able to kind of equilibrium back to a point where you're buying a month at a time and they're producing a month at a time and everyone's happy. It's just in the meantime, everyone gets in deep trouble. And it's hard. It is not an easy solution. There's no easy solution to this. It's just uncomfortable and it's difficult and there's no way around it. And it's always this time of year, every year. I shouldn't be surprised by this. Every year we walk out of Christmas just roariously cheering about how great it was. And every year in January, we are looking around going where'd all the people go? And it's made especially worse this year by the fact that we didn't have espresso for weeks. I hate this kind of stuff. I'm a marketing person at heart. I've had to learn a lot about production in the last 4 years. I've had to learn a lot about logistics and inventory management in the last 4 years. And I'm going to tell you, of all the things that I hate to have slow down the business, it's things like inventory, because there's nothing you can do but sit on your hands for the most part. And that's not a solution. In marketing, if things aren't working, you change the marketing. You come up with new ideas, you come up with new videos, you come up with new images, you come up with new strategies, right? If it's not working, you change it. In inventory management and supply chain management, just short of cultivating new suppliers, which takes time and money and is challenging, and that's a huge issue, there's no quick way to solve it. All you have to do is wait and just hope, pray, a lot of prayer. I will say that this particular month has been great for my prayer life. Anyway. Thank you for all of you who've stuck with us during this difficult time. We will get through it. We have to get through it. There's no other alternative. We will get through this. It's just making it happen that is tricky. All right, folks, thank you for tuning in today. Be sure to check back in on Thursday for our next topic. Don't forget to check that subscribe button as well as the notification bell to get notified when we launch new episodes. If you have any questions or concerns about your leather binder, journal, folio, or anything else we sell, please feel free to contact us on the main page of our website at murdycreative.co, or you can send us a chat in the chat box. We're available in that chat box Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. However, there are times when we are on chat that are after hours. So we're working on piloting that program, the chat program. So there are times when we'll be available in the evening to answer questions and things like that. So if you have questions, try the chat box first. If we don't answer there, we'll get back to you via email, or you can try emailing us. You can text or call us as well, 414-434-9001. Like I said, we're available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time. You can also leave us a voicemail. And if you do leave us a voicemail because you're out of hours, or even if you don't get us during hours and you want to leave us a voicemail, we will respond to that. We do listen to those emails or those voicemails. We will get back to you as soon as possible. If you're asking about an order specifically, please include the order number in that message. It really helps us kind of triangulate and coordinate what we're talking about. Sometimes we have multiple people who have similar names and they call us, and because of the connection or whatever, it can be hard to figure out precisely who's calling us. So that order number really helps clear that up if you can. If you want to place a bulk order over the phone, or you want to place a bulk order in general, definitely reach out to us. We're happy to help with that. Right now, because we have some excess production capability, we may be able to turn bulk orders a little bit faster than we normally would. Normally, we're 3 to 4 weeks for our lead time for bulk orders, but depending on what it is, depending on how the situation is, we could potentially go a lot faster than that. So if you have questions, reach out to us. Also, Valentine's Day is coming up, so check out our Valentine's Day sale. It's Love30, LOVE30. That'll get you 30% off accessories and pre-engravings. Also, check out our bundles under the specialty tab on our website. The bundles are a great deal. They are a fantastic deal, and they're awesome if you're looking to get people a nice little combination of gifts. So that's great. If you can deserve it, a good review go a long way to help us grow, both a review on whatever podcast app you're listening on, but also a review on the product. If you go to murdycreative.co/reviews, you can read all of our amazing reviews. And there's a button there that says leave us a good review. You click on that, it'll take you to facebook.com/murdycreative.co/reviews. There's a question there. Do you recommend the Murdy Creative Company? You click yes, and you can write your review. We love them. We read them all. They do help. They really do. People have struggled to buy things online without recommendations, so those reviews really do make a big difference. Also, if you want to leave a review or if you want to leave us a bad review, please, there's another button there that says get directly in contact with us. It is deeply important to me personally that everyone has a good experience with the company. We will do anything in our power, including recrafting, refunding, whatever it takes to make things right with you. Please give us an opportunity to do so before leaving us a bad review, as it really does it matters a lot to us. So give us an opportunity, reach out via that contact form, and we'll get back to you as soon as we possibly can. We really will. If you want to get a little something for sharing the podcast, word of mouth is the best form of advertising. We are doing double loyalty points for a short time here. So if you purchase anything in store, you will get 10% rather than 5% back as in-store credit. And if you share the store via that shareable link in the bottom left-hand corner of the website, that panel will pull up our rewards program. If you share that via that shareable link, your friends and family will get $10 off their first purchase, and you will get $10 as in-store credit when you share that and they make that purchase. So definitely check out the double loyalty points. It really does help us. Share your friends. Get a little something for doing so, especially Valentine's Day if you're trying to, wink, wink, and nudge to someone and get them to buy you something. So check that out. If you have any podcast topics you want to hear more about, send them my way. I'm always happy to talk about just about anything. And coming up with 2 podcasts every week is sometimes a little challenging. So if you got questions, curious about something, you want to know more about something or another, reach out to us. I'm happy to talk if I can about it. If you're looking for multiple binders, journals, folios, anything we sell, for gifts, giveaways, menus, really any reason, we do have bulk discounts available. All you need to do is add whatever you'd like to your cart. You can mix and match to your heart's desire. It is only based off the total cart quantity. So mix and match to your heart's desire. Once you add all of those things to your cart, the automatic discount should apply. The correct one should apply for whatever the quantity is. If you're not sure about specifics of what you're looking for and you want to know, you have a specific price point in mind or a specific discount in mind and you're willing to buy larger quantities perhaps or flexible on your quantities, reach out to us, SALES, sales@murdycreative.co, sales@murdycreative.co, and we will be happy to talk through that bulk discount program, help explain things, and help find that right place for you. If you're looking for custom items, we have no minimum order quantity and no setup fees at all. So you can get a custom engraving on any of our product line for $15 normally. It can go up a little bit depending on how complex it is or if you've got multiple things on the same things. But all you need to do is go to any product page excepting executive cuts and composition cuts. We're still working on getting those live. I know it's taken forever, but we're getting there. But any other product in our catalog, you can go to that page. There's an add custom engraving button. You click on that button, it'll take you to our customizer. You'll be able to upload logos, add text. There's a couple of templates there that'll help you. If you're just looking for a name on the front cover the way it's always looked, just use the template. Those have been pre-sized, pre-designed to look the best they can. So use the templates if you want, if you can. But you can customize, add pretty much anything you want to the binder. Please keep note, though, if it is something that is customized that is copyright protected, that may cause some issues. So if you got questions or you're concerned about that, reach out to us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and goodbye.